this is Katie from SPG, I guess. And I guess I wanted to do this live stream so that I could answer some questions, because people have been having questions about the various things that are going to be coming from SPG and all of that. And just need to grab this link for Tumblr and Discord and wide distribution and whatnot. Okay, discard this post because that did not work. Apologies. Join for a Q&A about the new update and post. And I will tweet that out as well, and then I'm all yours. Q&A about the new release. And paste and tweet. Awesome. Okay. Let me go right back into the live stream here. I forgot to put this on Discord. I'll put that in the announcements. There we go. So, whoever wants to see, well, I will tag. Apologies. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Hello to everyone. Yeah, so I basically wanted to live stream because, first off, we've gotten a lot of questions about sort of what's going on and what's going to be happening, and the new, stuff that's going on with the new chapter, and also because I had something else on my brain. Oh, right. So you can see my can't really see it very well. My suitcase behind me. I am leaving for another state. I'm going to go visit Celestial Sushi. She does not have the capability for streaming, and I really wanted to do a quick stream and answer people's questions about the new build of the game, because we've been getting questions about it, and I wanted to clarify some things, and this will be out in writing as well, but I don't know, I just kind of wanted to check in with everyone and say hi. So hello to Jen.net, Cyan Gaming, Dolphin Treasure Art, hello, and Sarah. So, wow, 7 viewers already, my goodness. Alright. So, quick rundown, I've called it the new build, I've called it the MV build, and I wanted to be more clear about what that meant. So the reason I've been calling it the MV build is because we're making it an RPG Maker MV, which is a program which basically it's kind of like, it's the new version of RPG Maker. So the boss was made in VX Ace, which was made for Vista and then like XP, so that's why it was like VX, and then Ace I think was just a new version of it because there was a VX before, but it was buggy, and I think Ace fixed a bunch of stuff. So I don't really know very much about all of that. But MV, I don't know what it stands for, but it's the new version of RPG Maker. It is a lot more powerful. It has a lot more capabilities. It has a lot more things you can do with it. The only thing that is awkward about it is the fact that the way it runs events is different, so that means that we kind of had to take a new approach to a lot of programming things, and we had to take a new approach to, basically we had to redo every single scripting thing that we had in the original version of Glitch in the System, which was unfortunate because that took a lot of work, and we basically had to go in and we didn't have to redo everything, but we did have to redo a fair amount of things. Like a lot of the font stuff we had to do again, a lot of the like I said, a lot of the scripting stuff, so some of the aesthetic stuff is going to look different because maybe we couldn't find a script that was similar enough to what we'd already done. And then there's one like puzzle area that is going to be different. The basic mechanic is going to be the same. The way that it's done is a little bit different from that, so hopefully that's not going to be too big an issue. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's very, very similar. It's just a little bit different because we couldn't do it exactly the same way. But everything else, all the other puzzles and such, are going to be essentially the same. There's just going to be a lot more details. There's going to be a few more areas. There are going to be other surprises and things like that, and I don't want to spoil anything. So that's essentially what this build is. And I wanted to kind of clarify that because I think that there's been some confusion as to what's going on and like why we're changing things around. And the reason that we're changing things around is because, first off, we're able to have an update system, which means you only have to download the game once, and we have a launcher. If you've ever played like Sims 3 or something, there's a launcher that starts up on your screen before your game starts. So we have a launcher. It's not as complicated or slow as the Sims 3 launcher, but we're working on it now. And it will tell you if there is a new update that needs to be downloaded, or if there's a new you know, when you first open the game, it's actually going to be the launcher, and the launcher is going to download the game for you. And the reason for that is because if we update the game, that means you would have to continuously download the game over and over and over again. And we don't want to do that, obviously. That's annoying. We had to do it with the Ace version, and so a very high priority for me was to kind of get that update system so that you can update your game and it doesn't become a problem in the future. And also that makes it easier because as you're updating your game, we'll be patching in things as we see them with Chapter 1, but as you're updating your game, we'll actually be adding stuff for future chapters so that when Chapter 2 does come out, it'll be a slightly lower, less complicated and less arduous download process. It will be, a lot of the maps will already be there. It's just a matter of getting the access to it, basically. And it'll all be encrypted, so you won't be able to, see it. So, no spoilers there, but, yeah, that's pretty much how it works. One of the big issues we're having is with music delay, because with MV really likes to load things as they come, whereas VX Ace kind of packages everything together, and so the game is kind of continuously loading things, or it all loads at once, I think. So there's no load screens, there's no any of that. MV has some load screens. They're not very long, they're very short. We have a really cute graphic for that. That was done by Keoshelia, I think that's how you pronounce it. And I won't tell you anymore. I will say that she really wants to do more loading screens. We haven't gotten to a point where we want to, we're still working on the update system. We're still working on the music delay system. So we're not to the point where we want to necessarily update to a multiple load screen depending where you are in the game system yet. That is kind of on our list, but it's kind of low on our list. And if we get to that point, we will patch the game and add it. So that's really cool. It's all be retroactive and such. So hello to Phoenix Prime. It's been a long time. That rhymed. Twister 1952. I don't know if there's a Twister in 1952. I'm sure there was, but I don't know what that means. But hello. And then XBF Grace. I don't know how to pronounce that, but hi. Let's see what else in this game. I don't want to spoil anything that has changed, because essentially, a lot of it is dialogue related, so if you don't like the dialogue, it's not going to be as much fun, but, because I've had, not very many people, but I've had people say, oh, there's too much dialogue in this game, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's kind of the point. It's not exactly a visual novel, but it does have quite a lot of dialogue. I am heading out tomorrow. I'm leaving my college They have buses to the airport, and so I'm taking the 11 a.m. bus, and then I'm going to be flying out at 3:25. So, very excited about that. But again, I can't stream there, so that's kind of why I wanted to stream now. And also, we've been posting posters and such saying, oh yeah, we're doing this on the 17th. And I obviously wanted to clarify some things so that it wouldn't be confusing for people. And a lot of people are saying, like, oh, do I need to download this? I don't want to download this. Or, well, not a lot of people are saying, like, I don't want to download this, but it's like, do we need to? It's like, yes, you do. And you definitely should play it over again. There will definitely be some things that are a little bit different. There's some there's like main dialogue that's been changed. Not so much for changing the story, but it's more like ideas that are more fully fleshed out. And that relate better to like the overall world, and they do reflect some changes, one or two like small changes that we're going to be doing in later chapters that we had planned differently originally, and then we decided, hey, we're going to do something slightly different with the next chapter, and so we're going to change this dialogue here to reflect that, and then a couple other things are just stuff we thought of just off the top of our heads. There's a dialogue in Mac's office that fits that description that we kind of were just like, oh, let's add this line because why not? And I do kind of want to update some of the Mac dialogue as well, but that was the only one that I was like, we should clarify something here. But I mean, it's not a big deal. So if anybody has questions, please let me know in the chat. Otherwise, I'll end up talking constantly about the MV build. That's kind of why I'm, I guess, talking about it. But yeah, there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of it is the same. A lot of it looks the same. And I'm still quite happy with it, honestly. And I'm really happy with the VX Ace version. I do think it came out really beautifully and really well. It's just a case that MV has more capabilities. It has the update system, which I'm really happy about. It has the hello to the doctor, Quinvention Energy. That sounds like a brand, but I don't know what it sells. Have I added more fun Easter eggs? I have not added any literal Easter eggs, but I definitely have added a lot more fun Easter eggs. There's some new art, so I think that there's some there's some new stuff. So that's definitely worth seeing, the new art and the new general stuff like that. One of the menus I haven't messed around with. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to do it before the thing goes out, so I'm gonna see if I can do that before then, but it takes some finagling with the art, unfortunately. But I had it all set up, and then I changed the aspect ratio, and now it's all off, and so I need to go in and fix it, but it's tedious, so I'm too tired to ask to think of questions to ask. Unfortunately, I just want to say I'm eager to see the update. I'm eager to share the update with you. We have a wonderful YouTuber who is in the audience right now, Dolphin Treasure Art, who will be playing the game a couple days early. May have some outdated technology on the update system, unfortunately, but will be playing it a bit early so that she can show you to anybody who can't play it, doesn't have access to a computer or anything like that. And anyone who doesn't really feel like playing it but just would rather watch it, we do recommend you play it, but, can't control what people do. Just a name, okay. And hello to Diana. We're in contact with Lano from Lano Cure X as well about possibly doing an updated Let's Play, and I know there's a third person who just asked if they could stream it for a charity event, and I said yes. That person is not Jack. Don't panic. If Jack had contacted us about playing this game, I probably would keep that under wraps and keep that really secret, but as of yet, not now. Although we do know that he was in the Twitter tag, and that he was like retweeting and responding to stuff that was underneath our poster. So we think he's seen it. We just think that he kind of doesn't want to like put the spotlight on us if he's not planning to play the game, and that's fine. Like we're not upset about it or anything like that. If he plays it, he plays it. We'd like him to, because we kind of have this ulterior way of playing it a little bit. Doesn't really change very much in Chapter 1, but the Chapters 2 and 3 in particular are going to have the biggest changes. Chapter 4 will have quite a few changes as well. But I haven't actually set that up yet, so... But it won't take me very long to set that up. It's kind of like a lot of copy-pasting, which is a lot of coding. And I'm not really a coder. I program a lot, but I don't really code a whole lot. And so I kind of just learned how to do things via plugins and things like that. So a lot of the game is kind of patchworked together at this point. I think it's more stable than the VX Ace version, though, because like all the errors that were coming up before are now fixed, which is lovely. And then we have a programmer who's been working on it a lot. He's going on his 3rd month working with us. He does it like almost every day. He's kind of just said that he's got a lot of free time and he really enjoys doing this coding and stuff. And then I told him some of the stuff we're going to need for Chapter 2, and he's very excited about that because apparently one of the things that we were looking for was definitely something he really enjoys programming, so I'm very happy about that. And so he'll probably end up working on that this month, I think. But I don't know when the next chapter is going to come out. I would like it to come out this summer, maybe. And it very much depends on not only getting the artwork, but also getting the music. But we have plans. I think we've planned it out well enough that we could potentially program it in that amount of time. And ulterior paths, given the narrative of the game, yes. Ulterior paths are definitely part of this game. This is a game you have to play at least 3 times to be able to see everything. Because, well, for reasons that you will see one day. But you kind of get to focus on one of the main characters in Pacepticai, Billy, Cliff, or Jenny, and that is going to kind of be what you do for the rest of the game. And the reason for that is because we kind of had these really big plans for these characters, and they all fit into the game really well, but if we tried to tell all of their stories at once, it would end up being really confusing, and it would end up being really complicated and difficult. So it's kind of like, you get to choose kind of who you get to focus on, I think. And I think that that's an important choice, and that's a choice you should not take lightly. But since you have a multi-save system now, including an auto-save system, which is actually not going to be working as often as you think, you'll be able to make the right decisions, I hope. Cliff, Jenny, Billy. So yeah, there's a lot of choice in this. There's definitely more choice in this game than there is in the boss, and there's definitely areas where there's whole sections of the game you won't see if you play in one route, but then you'll see it if you play it into another. And we're kind of planning it in sets of 3 as to areas that only one character sees, or areas that another character sees, or that areas that play a little bit differently depending on who you're focusing on, that kind of thing. And, the boss and the boss's nothing was very focused on Jack. And I think as a reflection of the fact that a lot of the team people have kind of moved on a little bit more from the channel than before. And also the fact that we were, a lot of people really loved the characters and didn't really get to see those characters as much as maybe they wanted to. We thought, this is a really good opportunity. I think that the fact that these characters have different personalities and different kind of, I guess, thought processes and different things that they're working through, and that definitely is a factor that I thought was important, and that is, it's very important. And then there was, so as we were making this game, I was playing other games, and I was being inspired by elements and aspects of those games as well. I think for the general overall story, that Septescape is a game that inspired me a lot. I can't really say how, because that would end up spoiling a lot of the game. And it's not very similar, actually. It's very, very different from Septescape. It's just sort of the ideas in Septescape that were kind of explored. It was like, you know, I can kind of play with some of those ideas in my own realm, but it's not copying them, like, in any way, because it's definitely more just kind of like a springboard off of some of the things they did, that I'm definitely doing my own things. And there is one idea at one point in the game that I went looking on TV tropes, and I'm like, okay, somebody else has probably done this before, and people have done something similar to it, but nobody's actually done the exact thing, at least that I could find. And I did go looking, because I'd never seen anybody do this. But there's something in the storytelling that I have never seen anybody else do. I have never heard of anyone else doing it, and I'm really excited because we might be the first. So it is something that is it's definitely not like a trope you've seen before. So it's definitely kind of an original idea. And I think it's one that, in playing the games more than once, you're gonna see like how this idea, it's an important idea, kind of comes, and is basically why this idea is important, and it's really interesting, and it's like, oh my gosh, is this an original idea? I don't think it's an original idea. I think it's a combination of a bunch of ideas that people have done before, but nobody's combined it in this way that I have ever seen. And it's in a genre that I enjoy, so I'm surprised that I haven't seen it before, so maybe it's original. I don't know. There's definitely aspects of it that isn't original, but I think it's just the combination of aspects that might be. So I don't know. So since there's a multi-save system, you can play the game in every route simultaneously. This is not something I necessarily think is a good idea. I think if you're playing it chapter by chapter, that might not be, that might be the only way you can really see all of the routes, but you have to be really familiar with each route, because as every chapter comes out, it's going to be building on that route, in addition to, like, the opening with chapter 1 is, the same. And I don't consider the route really started until you pick your character. So, it's... Yeah, and I think also chapter 1 is kind of... Yeah, it's... people are confused. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't really go into a whole lot of detail, because it is kind of spoiler territory, especially for chapter 2, and, well, honestly for the rest of the game, like chapter 1, a little less so. But there's differences, basically. And yeah, I think that every route is going to have its own. Every route definitely has its own voice. Every route definitely has its own differences. You really get to know your character, like the character you choose. And again, you can play them simultaneously. If you're playing it from beginning to end, I definitely recommend just sticking with one and then not loading up tons of saves and confusing yourself, because that way you will wind up being very confused. But especially for chapter 2, because I think chapter 2 has the biggest differences. Chapter 4 has quite a few too, but chapter 2 has the biggest differences between the routes, I think, just by its nature, and I can't really go into detail as to why. So that's one that I can understand playing every route, like, kind of simultaneously, because there are just so many differences, and you would kind of have to keep all those in mind. But it would be helpful, I guess, if you were to play chapters 2 and 3, and then chapters 2, 3, and 4, concurrent, well, not concurrently, like one after the other with one route, as opposed to switching back and forth, because I think that switching back and forth would end up being really confusing. I haven't really answered very many questions. I've just kind of tried to clarify things, so please ask, because that's kind of the point of the Q&A that I apparently don't understand. Take a drink. Jack has mentioned in 2 different live streams that he knows about the game, and both times he said he's not really planning on it, but it's a maybe, and that's fine. I think if he's going to play it, he's going to wait until either the whole game comes out or it's like, 2 or 3 chapters out or something like that. Because I think he's going to want to remember what happened, previously. And we do have that beginning of chapter 1 to people who have played it. And if you haven't played it and you just can't wait and you just absolutely have to see it, the original chapter 1 will stay up for a while. Probably forever. I don't know. I haven't really decided. I think we'll keep it up, but it'll be outdated, and I'll have to update it and say, this is not how you play the game. You want to play it as a full piece. And with the update system, that will be possible. Thank you. I go to University of Maryland. This shirt was not purchased there. I've had it for years, but I thought, oh yeah, I'm a terp. Terrapins. Fear the turtle. That's literally its, catchphrase, I think. Do you have the entirety of the story planned out? Yes. Basically, yes. We have, especially Sushi and I, there are details that kind of go in and out and kind of, we play around a little bit, but as for the story, what's going on, who's involved, what's going on, what's happening in the background, what's Auntie up to, we know all of that. And a lot of that is I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail, but we did make a document full of, bit by bit, chapter by chapter, exactly what Auntie is doing behind the scenes. And that helped us a lot, because that helped us figure out kind of how to write it, because, it's okay, we know this character knows this much, this character knows nothing, or something like that. And it also kind of helps us with foreshadowing purposes, offhand comments that are maybe more important than they come off. So I don't think you're going to be able to predict anything, but we do have a very complicated and detailed plan, and I don't think it's going to be really difficult. Makes sense that he would wait. It's like the Telltale games. Why wait for an episode when you can binge the entire season? Yeah, that's true. I think he did play it episode by episode, though. So I don't think that that's really what happened, but this one isn't really laid out in chapters, chapter by chapter by chapter. I don't think you can play a Telltale game, beginning to end. I don't know if you can. I don't have a Telltale game. They're a little bit too graphic for me. And I never really got into Sam and Max, which Sushi is quite upset about. Yes, and the story is very much cemented. We've had people who, people who've been trying to guess at what we've got in mind. And we've had people guess things that were completely out of left field, absolutely not even remotely close to what we're going for. And it's really funny because we've had them guess those things with decent amounts of evidence, and you've twisted that quite well. It's not what we're doing, but you twisted it well. And then we've had a couple people who've gotten borderline close, who guessed a few things that were accurate and then kind of threw in their own theories that, or some of their theories were accurate, some of their theories weren't. I don't think we've had anybody take the game point by point and say this is what's going on, and nobody's actually guessed everything, and I don't think you can, not with chapter 1. I don't think chapter 1 has enough information to be able to guess. At least I don't think so. I like the longer series. Well, I sort of like the longer series, but I kind of want this to be a longer series too. The chapter 1 is definitely kind of in that hour and a half to 3 hours. Some people were just taking it apart bit by bit, and so they were at it for 3 hours. And with new material, I guess they'll be at it for longer than that. But if you're not going into it and reading every last thing and exploring every last thing, it's not going to be 3 hours. It's going to be 1.5 to 2. And it takes me 45 minutes to speed run it, which is a long time. The boss took, how long did the boss take? It was I think I did I remember Sushi and I did the speed run of the boss to make sure that the game would run, begin to end, because we knew it all worked. We just, wanted to make sure there wasn't anything, game-breaking in it. So we had to run through it, and it took an hour and 15 minutes, so that was insane. People were reporting like 4-hour gameplay, so that made sense. Which changes to the programming are your favorites? We added a plugin that changes some of the look of some of the areas. Not like the tile sets, but kind of like how it appears to the player, kind of. And I don't want to go into too much detail. And they look really good. I need to continue to kind of pretty it up a bit, but yeah, those plugins are really nice. I love the update plugin or the update system. It's not actually a plugin, I don't think, because obviously not having to not having to like make the audience like download the game over and over again just seems like a good idea, and having everybody having kind of the same copy is really nice. The only downside is that I have to like upload it like 3 times because there's a Linux and a Mac version. There's a few changes to the programming that I like, and there are some things that I can't tell you because they're not until later. So a lot of my favorite things are coming later, so I can't really explain it very much. There's a programming change because we had this set up and it was kind of when we set it up, and we've set it up again. We've had to change some of the mechanics, and it's still kind of because I can't quite get it exactly the way I want. And I tried to like utilize the mouse with it because it was easier to program that way than it was to try to utilize like the arrow keys or WASD, which we're trying to get that involved. Like we're trying to get like a WASD set up as well, but we don't have that yet. Chapter 1 has enough information for the players to feet to get wet but are not entirely in the ocean. It is very true. Chapter 1 definitely brings you into it, but it doesn't tell you exactly what you want to know. And I wish that we could like, release the game all at once. I really do. But it's a big game, first of all, and it has a really complicated story. Well, I don't want to say it has a complicated story. I don't think the story is actually that complicated. The story's fairly simple. It's more the execution that's complicated, I think. And yeah. Have you, Sushi, or anyone else in the team considered any other projects for the future aside from Glitch in the System? Yes, we do want to do things after this. After Glitch, I think that's going to be our last Jacksepticeye fan. Well, no, that's definitely going to be our last Jacksepticeye fan game. And we're kind of using RPG Maker MV to kind of decide if this is a program we want to continue using or if we want to use a different program. We're kind of exploring those avenues as well, as much as we can, at least. And we've got, our programmer is really interested in working with us. We get along really well, and he enjoys, doing the stuff that I have no idea what he's doing. Without him, we would not be able to do this. So, yeah, we absolutely do want to do stuff like that. We have a small budget. It's not huge, but it's enough to be able to, do another game, at least 2 other games, probably. And, so after that, we would get those games on Steam. Sushi has this really interesting horror game idea. So there's that. And I like the idea a lot, so we're thinking about making that our next project because it's not too ambitious. Like, it's not something that's going to be extremely difficult to make. It does rely more on art, I think, but I think we can get that. Yeah, I think we can do that in the amount of time anyway. I've got an idea, I have that Spark idea, which has been in my head since I came up with the boss, actually, and it needs some fine-tuning, and I feel like that's one that I want to do once I kind of am very established and kind of know exactly what I want. So I haven't really gotten to that point yet. And I don't want to explain too much about other game ideas that we have because I don't know exactly what we're going to end up doing. We might end up coming up with a different idea while we're making Glitch and decide to go with that first. The horror game does seem like it's kind of more in the alley of exactly what we can do without being too like I said, too ambitious. It's not too difficult. It's like all stuff that Sushi knows how to do, because I haven't. It's in a different program, but it's one that I've played around a bit in, but I haven't actually learned how to use yet. And so she's kind of had this idea for a while, and she told me about it, and I really like it. And I think that if we are clever enough, and if we write it well enough, we can, it'll definitely be really good, and it'll definitely be really interesting. We just kind of have to work on it. And then, like I said, those games will be available on Steam. Probably not expensive. This will probably be like a 2D game. No plans for 3D. Mainly because we don't have any 3D artists. And 3D art and animation is exceptionally difficult, especially for like one person. It would be way too much for me to be able to do. It would be way too much for Sushi to be able to do, So, like, yeah, we're not thinking about doing anything. We're not going to do anything probably in the 3D realm. Not unless we suddenly got a crew full of people who knew how to do it. And even then, I don't really have any ideas that would work better in 2D, or better in 3D than they would in 2D. Godot has been suggested to me. I don't know how to use it yet. It's very coding dependent, and that's not my strong suit, so I kind of need to figure out how that all works, because I'm not in a place right now where I have time to figure out how Godot works, but I kind of want to learn it because it does look like a really good program. There's another one that was like drag and drop, but was way more powerful than RPG Maker. I forget what it was called, but it's really expensive to use, so it's like buy a license and then pay a certain amount per month, but it's really expensive. So I'm probably not going to go that route. We've talked about Game Maker, we've talked about Ren'Py, we've talked about like Godot. Unity I'm not touching because I had to use Unity for my gaming classes. I have an associate's in computer gaming and simulation, and I just wanted to cry. It was so complicated and difficult, and it just took all the fun out of game making, honestly, because you can't be very creative where Unity is just basically the engine. You can't be creative. You can't be anything because you have to literally put every single thing you want to do into the game. Not just artwork, but like the physics, the exact mechanics, the exact buttons you want to play, blah, 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 blah. It took all the fun out of game making for me because I don't like being bogged down by those details. That's why I like RPG Maker so much. I like RPG Maker because it's so versatile, first of all. You can always tell if something is an RPG Maker game, but the reason for that is because like they come with their own tile sets, which is really nice because we can use some of the stuff in there, and a lot of people have made tile sets for games, so I kind of went through DeviantArt and I found all the stuff where it said free to use and just credit me. So we have some beautiful tile sets from that. If one of y'all wants to learn 3D art and join our team, let me know. But at this point, I'm not interested in that. There's also RPG Maker. People came up with another program. It's Pixel Maker something or other. I don't really know very much about it, and so I'm not going to bother with it, at least until there's more tutorials out there about it, because when I opened it up, like I got the trial version, when I opened it up, it was just like so much stuff. It was too much. It was just too much to learn at once, and there was like no tutorial or anything like that, so I had no idea what I was doing. Game Maker was kind of the same way. Game Maker I feel like is more easy. It's just not very user friendly. Yeah, Unity I don't like because it is so basic, and it's too basic, and it's so complicated. You have to jump through like 50 hoops to do anything at all. And oftentimes it's really, really, like if something isn't working, it's really, really, really difficult to figure out what it is. Okay, get 3D game design. Maybe I will watch a tutorial series on Godot. I am not in a place right now where I have time to do that. Because, it's a lot. It's a lot to learn, and I think when I'm closer to finishing Glitch, I'll probably start really, digging into those other engines. But right now, I need to get this out. Not that I don't love getting this out. And then also, like, I'm kind of a slow person when it comes to coming up with ideas and when it comes to learning a game engine. So I'll probably wind up learning the game engine and then, like, through that come up with an idea for something, but my brain is not creative immediately. Like, Glitch, some of my favorite ideas in Glitch I didn't come up with until last year while we were working on it. And so I think it's a lot more in stone. It's way more in stone than it was. If you have difficulty with your eyesight, chances are that Unity is not going to be your friend there. I'm not really sure why that would be a thing. I actually don't have that much difficulty with my eyesight. These glasses are for eye muscle problems, not eyesight problems. I have 20/20s. I just need eye muscle surgery, which I can't afford. But yeah, you know, it's all a process, and I like making games, but it's mostly because I like writing for games. I love writing for games. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot more improvisational, I think, because there's a lot of flavor text and things like that, and you can kind of use that to develop your characters more, as opposed to a story which has to follow, you know, a set storyline, and like any other detours, it's just, you know, it's pointless. You know, it's a pointless detour or a pointless moment, whereas a game will let you do that. A game will let you have random moments that don't have to do with anything, and I love that. And I love being able to do that kind of thing. I've not gone past those purple things. I just kept on dying. It's so annoying. I cannot even go past. I just want to die to go past those purple things. I don't know what that means. I don't think that's Glitch. Is that Jack, what's it called? I don't remember what it's called, but there's a Jack, platformer that has purple platforms. So is that one? Because I would have trouble with that too. I think I played that for a while and then just kind of got bored with it, while also it was really difficult. And now I'm guessing that's the one you're playing, because that doesn't sound like Glitch. Yeah, there's just a lot. Just a lot to learn, there's a lot to do. I am so confused. I don't know what you're talking about. Because I'm... Oh, do you mean the tars? Okay. Alright. They're not purple, they're black. I was really confused by that. Yeah, they're a little bit easier to get past. Well, I think they're a little bit easier to get past in this, in this version, so you might just want to wait till this version. I think you definitely want to save your game before you go up against them or anything, but I don't know. I did change some things around in Glitch to make them a little bit simpler. There's a really annoying, like, glitch, bug, quirk, or whatever with how I had to do that section that, I'm gonna have to, like, explain in the, you know, instructions to that section, because it was less straightforward, and so I have to, like, explain that little quirk of the program in there, because it's very hard to hit them from the sides. You actually have to go up in front of them or behind them, so I'm going to have to come up with some reason for that. But if you're playing the VX Ace version, female Gaelic, if you're playing the VX Ace version, every time you die, your HP goes back up to 15. So you can... And, like, the ones that you get rid of, you get rid of. So if you just keep going at it, you're gonna continue to have... You're gonna get through it, definitely. We set it up that way on purpose. Oh, hello. Oh, there we go. Back in focus. it's definitely good to learn various game engines. Like I said, I'm not very good at coding, so I'm trying to find a game engine that doesn't rely so much on coding and so much on that setup, of having to set up every single last tiny thing in the game and how it's set up, because I just don't have that capability. I don't have a brain for that. I'm really not good at it, and if I can't do it, then nobody's gonna be able to do it. And that's really frustrating for me, because I really wish that I could figure it out. I really wish that I knew how this worked and that I could, do it, but it's not in the cards right now, I guess. Not in the cards. And yes, there's lots of glitches in Glitch. My whiteboard, which you can't see because it's like right here, has my list of things that are left to do before the game can come out. Sushi has a couple things left as well, but I think that my list is longer, although I don't think it's as time consuming as hers because she has some other stuff that I can't go into. Hello, Sonic the Hedgehog. You share a birthday with Sushi. That's true. She and Sonic, I think she turned 3 the day Sonic came out. I wish I shared a birthday with Sonic. I share a birthday with Adam Sandler. And that's unfortunate. But I am exactly, to the day, 100 years younger than Colonel Sanders of KFC fame. Completely random fact that is just whatever, but it's 100 years to the day. So that's interesting, I guess. Don't really have any other things that I can say unless anybody has any other questions. Right now it's mostly about Glitch and kind of getting all of that set up. But it's been interesting. It's been a fun experience. A lot of people are talking about who they share birthdays with. I don't have a very exciting birthday. It's September 9th, by the way. So you'll be able to tell. If you look up Colonel Sanders, you'll know how old I am. But fairly close to Jack's age. But whatever. How's everyone's day? Well, I had my last class, and due to coronavirus fears, we are not going back to class until March 30th, I think? I think it's March 30th. But we're doing, like, teleclass or telecommunications or whatever for the next 2 weeks after that, so then on April 10th, I guess they're going to talk about the next few weeks and whether we're going to be coming back. But I live off campus, so I'm going to be living here anyway, so I'm just going to be here. Will Mac have more lines? Yes. Because there are new areas and you can call Mac in them. So by that nature, Mac will have more lines. Yeah, there's a couple other, like I said, I wanted to add more flavor text to Mac's office. I'd actually like to add a bit more decoration to Mac's office, but that's a bit tricky because of all the color changes, so it would have to be decorations that are separate from that color change, because I don't want to have to program them that way. Well, St. Patty's Day is the day that Glitch Chapter 1 is coming out, so we're not quite ready for that yet. We're close. In the next couple days, we're going to have to get playtesters, although at this point, I think it might be too late for that, because the update system is going to be really late as it is. So I may have to personally test it myself, and try to get all of that stuff. But, Sushi and I will be together, so we'll be able to do all of that. Yeah, a lot of people will be calling Mac a lot, which is good. There's a Mac dialogue for every room, I think. There might be some that he doesn't have lines in. I don't know. I need to check. The way the Mac calls are programmed in is that it checks what room you're in, and the rooms are numbered so that no matter what you call the room, it'll just stay that one room number. And they're wildly out of order. I have to check the number at the bottom of the screen every time I have to check for that. So that makes it kind of difficult to like go through the MAC list and figure out what, numbers are left. More egos, please. That will be arranged. There will be more egos. Definitely. 100% confirmed. There will definitely be more egos. The ego poster with all of the egos on it, I think, confirmed it more than anything, but yes, definitely egos. So, the egos, you can't really see it, but there's an ego list up there as well. I think it's too high up now, but that's the list of all the egos in the game, because I'm always like, oh yeah, I need to figure out, and then I list out the egos, and I'm like, I'm missing one, and I can't figure out who, so I had to write them all down, otherwise I was going to forget one, because I always forget one. It always ends up being JJ for me. Like, JJ's the one that I forget exists. I think because the boss came out before he was an ego, and so my brain just kind of is like, oh yeah, he doesn't exist. There's already in the VX8 version of Phone Sister where you can call Mac at pretty much any time. And we were talking about maybe making that like calling the egos that you've already met, but we haven't really made that decision yet. So we'll let you know. But we don't know yet. Who is my favorite Jacksepticeye ego? So were you talking canonically, like on the channel? Fanonically, like as fans? Or in Glitch specifically? Because the Glitch egos are separate from, the JSC canon egos. Because I definitely have some favorites in the Wireland canon, but I don't really have any favorites in the main canon because I'm actually not big on the egos, which is ironic. But I kind of wanted to do, I definitely wanted to, make the egos my own, so to speak. Although Sushi definitely made Schneep her own. Which is, Sushi was very much in charge of Schneep. I wrote a few lines of his, but I think she wrote the accent better than I did. Okay, in Glitch. So this was one of the last egos to come to fruition in like our minds and how we're gonna write this character. And it was an ego that was not very well established in the fandom or on the channel or anything. So we were kind of like, I don't really know what we could do with this one. But there's just like this open possibilities for it. And so when we finally did pin down what we were going to do with this ego, Marvin rocketed to the list of like possibly my favorite ego in the game. He is going to be a blast to write. I am so excited to write for him because his personality in the game is just so. I love it. I basically love what we came up with. I remember Sushi and I were talking about it, and like it kind of popped into my head like, what if Marvin is this? And she liked it, and so I went into the dev server and was like, are people going to be upset by this? Because, Marvin doesn't have a personality in the, the main fan, and so people are going to be upset that we kind of gave him his own personality that's like wildly different. I don't think I've ever seen Marvin written in this way. So it'll be very much wildly different from the fanon. And people loved the idea on the dev server, so it's going to be a little while before you see Marvin, but I'm really excited. I've actually come up with some dialogue for him. He's all the egos are kind of comic relief, but his brand of humor is a lot of fun to write, and it's got a lot of banter in it, and so I'm really excited about Marvin, and I'm also really excited to write for Robbie because Robbie's adorable. Jackie Boy Man is probably my least favorite because, like, I don't know, I just can't really get into him. So Sushi's taking on him, and then Chase is so chaotic that honestly, she and I have to write them together because there is just no one writer could contain him. He is pure chaos energy. And I think you'll probably enjoy what we do with Chase as well. I think Chase is a little bit closer to the earlier videos he was in. And so was Schneep. Schneep in the newer videos is like really smart, kind of knows what he's doing, whereas opposed to the Schneep in the earlier videos who was performing CPR on a operating game. So we kind of went with that first one because I like the first one better, honestly. I like Schneep as an idiot. Just gonna say it. I like Quack Schneep. I like him stupid, and I like him kind of like way too confident, but having no idea what he's doing. And there's a bit of that in Marvin, but I'm doing it very differently, so I'm really excited about that. But no, Schneep's hilarious. I love what Sushi did with him. He's probably one of my favorites as well. He's definitely hers. I think writing him made him her favorite by far. And yeah, Chase is gonna be fun. Yeah, Chase is gonna be a lot of fun. Chase is a character, honestly. We're having fun with him. But no, he's not as dramatic as he is in like Sept Escape or on the channel. Because I think if we try to do it like on the channel, we would end up with way too much baggage, and we don't want to do that. So yeah, like I said, the egos are definitely more funny. They're not. Yeah, no, they're definitely funny. They're definitely side characters, and I think that, like, at the beginning of Glitch, when we were first coming with ideas and stuff, like, I got really, stressed out because I was trying to work the egos into the main story as, like, huge plot points. And that was stressing me out a lot, and it was making me like the egos less and less and less, and I'm like, there's just so many of them, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I was thinking, like, a big epic with, like, all the egos kind of joining your journey, or having their own really complex story arcs, but there's just so many of them that it wasn't going to happen. And I just collapsed under the stress and just couldn't do it. And so I was like, we're not doing that. Just straight up, we're not doing that. And for a while I was thinking, maybe we just shouldn't have any egos in the game altogether, and maybe we should just come up with the game and then see if we can work the egos into it. And then what we came up with opened up the door right back to the egos, but with the caveat that they were side characters. They were very much side characters. They were very obviously relegated to be side characters, and they were not meant to be taken seriously. And ever since then, I've liked the egos a lot more, because I didn't want to take them seriously. And I think that this game is not one where taking the egos seriously is a good idea. I think this game would get bogged down if we didn't... I think this game would get bogged down way too much if we had a serious story arc. Like, Sept Escape already did it, and I don't love the egos enough to want to do that, and I don't have as much interest in the egos as, like, really serious characters, because to me, they're just goofy, and they're funny, and they're a lot of fun, and I don't really get into that theorizing because, like, they're fictional characters, and they're kind of like alter egos of Jack or whatever, and so I kind of feel like there's not a whole lot, I don't know, it's just not my thing, and it's not something that I'm very interested in at least trying to do. So, but with the side characters, with the side egos, with the goofy, costumes and stuff, and this idea of it being like a Jack in a goofy costume who has no idea what's going on, loved that. That was a lot of fun, and I wish that Jack would take that approach, because, to be honest, it's way more fun when he does that. I don't like this serious ego thing that he's got going on. Come on, goof them up. I liked the JJ video, like the newer one. I thought that was really cute. I thought that was as serious as JJ could get. I didn't want him to get more serious than that, but I don't like the serious Schneep. Really against that. Schneep has to be an idiot. He has to be goofy. Not gonna work for me. Serious Chase, you just made it sad. No. Don't make it sad. Make him a goofball. He's way more fun that way. Marvin, I don't know what he's gonna do with him. Jackie, I didn't watch the South Park because that's not my sense of humor. So I have no idea if he's changed, but I just can't really get into him. Honestly, that's a really good choice to make the antagonist maybe Auntie, but the rest of the egos are not entirely necessary to the plot. They are not the main focus, so having them as side characters in comic relief should give them enough space for the player to enjoy. Yes, that's pretty much what I wanted to do. I really wanted the player to enjoy the egos, but not to get super attached to the egos. I didn't want the player to get, obsessed with the egos. And I think that I was starting to have some negative feelings toward the egos about, like, oh, everybody's so obsessed with them, so if I do it, I have to do it right. I have to do them perfectly. And it's really funny because Jack was going into that as well. He was talking about how there was just so much pressure to, make the egos amazing and to create this great story, this grand epic. And I think he was having a lot of the same feelings I was. And so I guess my completely pointless opinion to him that he'll never listen to is just lighten it up, make them fun. I'll enjoy it better. But you have to, with the egos in particular, you have to do what feels right to you, and this felt very right to me. And I needed them as comic relief to enjoy them, and as non-major major-ish. I mean, they're in a lot of the game, but you only get to meet them one at a time, and that's another thing that I'm really glad that I'm glad that I set up, is that you're meeting them one at a time, so you get to know them, but you don't, they don't outstay their welcome. I think Schneep, there's definitely more you can do with him. I probably will do a bit more with him, not in this chapter, but possibly chapter 4, like at the very end, we'll probably have a bit more Schneep fun. Sean may want to take a more serious approach to the egos, but others want them to remain comical, so everyone will have their own interpretation. I feel like nobody feels the way I do about the comical egos. Nobody wants them goofy. Nobody wants them fun. And I'm sad about that because I like them fun. I don't want serious egos. I just don't. It's Jack in a goofy costume. Why do you take these guys so seriously? Come on. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's probably just me, honestly. It's probably just me and my cold, dead heart. But I want to laugh at these guys. Give me some slapstick or something. There's definitely some slapstick with some of these egos. Like, I think Chase and Marvin both, and definitely Jackie, are definitely going to have some slapstick humor in there. And the dialogue for Schneep was so much fun. And I love this idea that he's just this cocky doctor who has a very loose understanding of human anatomy. And it's so funny, and it's just fun. And I like it, and that's the way I want them written. It's the way I want to write them. And BB, I don't know if he's going to be in the game. I don't know if he'd be in Wireland even. Like, Evelyn's not going to be in the game. At least she's not going to be in Wireland. Anyway, we might throw her in the end if they're still together. But, like, we started making the game when he was with Cena, and so now we're kind of, like, really iffy as to whether we want to include a girlfriend in this game. I guess if he proposes, then that'd be a different thing. But, maybe. And there would be condemned to sadness as we desire laughs. What would we do? Laugh! Laugh! I should write that down and just smack this. And then also, I don't consider Mac an ego. I do have him on my list of egos, mainly because he's related to them, but it's kind of this idea that he was instrumental in... He's the father of the ego, sort of, in Wireland. He's not an ego, like, as in general or anything. He's definitely... I don't even know if I'd really call him a fan-made ego. I've seen him drawn with the other egos, which is really lovely. Thank y'all for doing that. But I don't know if I'd call him an ego. He's kind of just Mac. That's just what Mac is. Mac is Mac. And that's kind of why we can go more deep and more serious with him. We can do that with Auntie as well, because Auntie is the only character that I don't feel... Well, I mean, he can be goofy too, but I don't feel like... Auntie's the only character I feel could be taken seriously. And Matt can be taken seriously because we can kind of mold him to what the story needs him to be. And so this kind of like Alphys in the last game, like he's kind of the, walking you through Wireland and helping you on your adventure and really helping you through and making sure that you can get through all of things. He's kind of like a phone a friend. He's really useful for that. And so we can make him more serious. We can make him have his moments that are funny, have some moments that are not. Kind of the straight man of a comedy duo, more than the goofy one, but he has a few moments. I don't know if he has any moments like in the first chapter, but there's definitely some moments where people are, say goofy things and he's like, what are you talking about? So, I don't know. Yeah, Mac is Mac. Mac is Mac. And this game does yeah, and that was kind of like the last piece of like getting everything together, is that I guess I kind of felt like the egos needed an origin story, or like how they got to Ireland or anything. And so with Mac being what he is this non-ego but kind of like fatherly figure to all of Ireland, kind of retcons some stuff from the boss, which is unfortunate. So if I ever re-release the boss, I will fiddle with some dialogue and at least mention Mac. But Mac does get hinted to in The Boss Is Nothing, because we knew about him when we were making that. And he's hinted to, but I don't think ever by name. I don't think so. I don't remember now. But yeah, he kind of felt like, in Mac's story, kind of feels like what I was trying to do with all of the egos, I think. Like, make them all serious and whatever. And Mac is... yeah, Mac is neither a goofy character nor a super serious character. He's just Mac, you know? I guess he's more serious than he is goofy, but, you know, I kind of feel like I needed an anti-anti, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely needed to create a character who was not anti, but also had power over Ireland, to kind of have this power struggle, and that Mac felt like the natural choice for that. And you know, that by nature would make him a more important character in this particular game. This would not necessarily make an important character in any other game. There's no direct mention of Mac in The Boss Is Nothing, but there are allusions to other Jacks in the computer, and that number does include Mac. And the fact that, you know, Sean locked all those egos out, that would include Mac. So that's why you don't see him in the boss. Definitely not because we hadn't come up with the idea yet. Nope. But Auntie's, yeah. And I like the idea of like a colorful Jack character too, with the streak in the hair, changing colors, the eyes changing colors, kind of a chameleon Jack. Sort of. I thought that was cute. And I love the idea of, like a digital version of Jack kind of having that little quirk and that thing. You can see on the TV tropes page that it is in fact a trope, but I don't care. It's really fun. So Mac's fun. Mac's a sweetheart, and he's very necessary to the story. Yeah. To every evil there must be a good. Mac's trying to help you, and Auntie is trying to troll you. So it's kind of like Jack is coming between this power struggle of Mac and Auntie. Kind of like he's not the main catalyst of the problem. He's kind of helping to fix it. So, you know, that's kind of Jack's role in this. It's more of, you know, like the first game is definitely the whole place is, you know, unstable because Jack's in Ireland and there's all these subscribers in there and Jack has to get them back and all of that stuff. Whereas this game definitely has Jack in more of a supporting character position, you know, trying to fix the problem that Auntie has caused. But Jack not coming to Ireland, there would still be a problem. Whereas, you know, all the stuff that happens with the boss, they're very, very closely connected to Jack. And Jack is essentially the only person who can solve the problem. Now, Jenny and Cliff, as in the first game, weren't supposed to be here. As y'all know, they were supposed to, you know, just stay home, I guess. But, you know, Billy messes up the code, and so now they're there. And partially because, you know, I wanted to bring them back, and partially, you know, they needed a reason to be there. But they're important, and they definitely do help, and they're definitely instrumental in all of this. Did you consider having Auntie be able to change his code to make him look like Jack and trick the others at some point in the plot? It's an interesting idea. I can't tell you anything, because that sounds like end of game spoilers territory if I came up with that idea or if I didn't. So I can't really answer that question. I like that question, though. That's a really interesting question. But, you know, you've seen it. Well, you've heard Auntie, at least. You haven't actually seen him. Who wants to stay home from this awesome adventure? What, Jack? Or Jenny and Cliff. I'm a little confused. But yeah, this one was supposed to be just Jack and Billy, which is really funny because at first the boss was supposed to be just Jack and Billy, but then the subscribers being part of it were kind of tacked on a little bit later in the process. At first it was literally just going to be the two of them bantering for the entire game. And there's definitely merit to that. And if you like that, you know, the banter and stuff, definitely do Billy's route because there will be a lot of it. But any of the routes will have plenty of it because there's just this banter, man. They're just bantery. They're funny. They're fun to write. When I showed my mom a really early version of the boss, this is before it ever came to demo, this is before anybody ever saw it aside from people in the crew, any of that. And she said that was her favorite part, was seeing Jack and Billy. She didn't really know who either one of them were, but she said the way I'd written them was just so entertaining that it didn't really matter that she didn't know a lot of the context, but it was because those character dynamics were just very fun and they bounced off each other so naturally. And so I kind of went with that, and like I ended up changing the game a lot from when she saw it. But that was an aspect that I did not change a lot of. I think that idea of Jack and Billy being like kind of vitriolic best buds is just, it's fun. Understandable, just thought since he was the Yang of Wirelin having some power, he may be able to be, well, a bit of Loki and stuff. Yeah, I guess you're probably right. But yeah, I can't really answer that particular question. That question is too complicated, I guess. I don't know. Loki Auntie. That sounds terrifying. Shame we can't get Tom Hiddleston to dress as Auntie, but I think that Jack would be the better actor anyway. But that would be a very interesting crossover. Forget Auntie versus Darkiplier, Auntie versus Loki. But yeah, that's maybe. I'd love to see Auntie in a Loki outfit. I can't draw, but if anybody wants to draw that, I would love to see that. Y'all are on the Billy and Jack banter. Yeah, that's some of the most fun stuff to write, honestly. They're constantly sniping at each other, and you can tell that they really do care about each other. And I tried to make it so they're never too mean to each other. Like, there's definitely a line there. They constantly make fun of each other, but neither one of them are offended by it, even if they yell at each other. So there's definitely a line. I think that's obvious. I hope that that's obvious, that there's, like, you know, they're not actually angry at each other, or they don't actually hate each other or anything like that, that they're, you know, this is just kind of how they communicate. And I could tell that Jack, when he played the boss, he really liked that too. I think he really enjoyed, What? What idea? What are you guys talking about? Oh, okay. Yes. Auntie dressed as Loki. Okay. Alright, yeah. Definitely tag me. I'm not going to put that in the game. That's not the plan. I'm not going to have Auntie wear a crazy Loki costume. Yeah, I guess brother, I had somebody say that the Billy and Jack dynamic was more like uncle and nephew, which I kind of think it fits a little bit because, you know, there's like a age gap of Jack is old enough to be his dad, and yet he banters with him like a little brother, so, yeah, it's something like that. What are y'all talking about ideas? I don't even know what you're talking about. But, yeah, and then there's, I think in this game we're going to see a lot more, well, I know in this game we're going to see a lot more interaction between Jenny and Cliff, who are friends as of, you know, the beginning of this game, because obviously, you know, they had this whole adventure and they found each other on the internet, and so now they've been friends for a while, so they know each other a lot better, because you can see, I hope that I was able to write some more familiarity and more comfort between the two of them. And something that was more fun about how, with this game, like being a sequel as well, is that you definitely get to see differences in how they talk. You can see that Jenny is a lot less reserved. She's not nearly as shy. She's not nearly as awkward or uncomfortable with the group, because she knows them a lot better. She takes a little longer to get to know people, and she warms up to them really fast because she feels more comfortable talking in front of them or more comfortable voicing what she's thinking. And so I had more fun with the more bold Jenny, with the more comfortable Jenny, and so she does speak up a lot more. I don't know if anybody even noticed that, but she definitely does. And then Cliff is a little bit more subdued. It's been a couple of years, so he's matured a lot. But, he's kind of adulting right now, and so that's kind of where his brain is. And he's totally still a goofball. Like, I hope people, still get that from him. But we toned him down a bit because we kind of were afraid that Jack found him annoying. So we wanted him to, still be Cliff, but definitely still grow up. Will we get a better idea of Jenny and Cliff's backstories? Yes, we definitely. I mean, we've already hinted to it, but especially with Cliff, we've definitely like straight up said both his parents are doctors, so that's part of it. But with Jenny's, I think we've been a lot more like we actually started building up her backstory in the first game, and I don't think we're gonna go into every detail of it, but there's definitely a backstory there. We had a section where we're going to go into more of her backstory. That was the section that ended up getting cut, and then, it was going to be 5 chapters, and now it's 4 chapters, and it's because we cut that section. So we kind of relegated it to a different part of the game, but it's not the same. This is the general idea of that one section is now being done someplace else. It just feels like the man with the heart of a child. I'm very confused by that. I don't know what that means. But Cliff, he's very fun-loving. He's... he cares a lot about his friends, and he cares a lot about his family, and he cares very much about how people perceive him, and I think he cares more about that than you realize. You can kind of see it in the first game, and that was something that I have always imagined him being like. And then, and one of Cliff's biggest problems is that he's not very good with confrontation. Like, he just flees from confrontation. And that's, a really big problem of his. And I don't want to, go into detail about that, but, yeah, Cliff he's a bit immature in that way, and he's older than people thought he was. He was 19 in the first game. And I didn't want to try to write teenagers, I wanted to write, I guess Cliff's Gen Z, and Jenny would be millennial, because their birth years are 1994 and 1997, respectively, but... yeah. Jenny's definitely more millennial than and Jack as well, whereas Billy's definitely that next generation. Whereas Cliff is kind of an older Gen Z, and I think that we wrote him okay. There are elements to him that are based on my brother, who was born a year later than Cliff, but not very many. But this idea of having grown up with technology more than Jenny necessarily would have. And Jenny not being American also it changes things a little bit. That doesn't really change things very much. I did have to run some figures of speech and stuff by real Australians, because I didn't know. And a detail I think a lot of people don't realize is that Jack, Jenny, and the Egos all speak in British spellings, but Billy and Cliff speak in American spellings. So if you look really carefully, you can see that the spellings change depending on who is speaking. And we did that on purpose because it kind of gave us an idea. It kind of helped us remember, oh, that's right, this person is not an American. Because, Sushi and I are American. And so it kind of gave us the perspective of, okay, we have to make sure that, we write, well, I guess Schneep isn't counted in that because he has an accent. So he doesn't really spell things properly. But I think if you turn off his accent, they're still in British spellings. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it is, though. Sushi was a lot better at remembering that. But she's better at remembering it than I am, because I will defer back to American spellings by mistake all the time. But Cliff and Billy speak in American. They speak American, so it's all good. And yeah, okay, so people did notice that. That's nice, because we actually did go to a lot of effort to make sure. I think Sushi was like, we came up with that idea a little bit later, so we'd already written a bunch of stuff, and Sushi went back and made sure that everything was British spelled, and so I don't know of any mistakes, if she made any mistakes. If she did, I probably wouldn't notice, honestly. Oh, there's a lot of attention to detail in this game. And we did have to ask somebody who was Australian, like, how do you guys spell stuff? Because we want to do this as a part of the game. And she's like, okay, it's British spelling. Add the U. Lot more S's than Z's. The word cozy feels really off to me when I read it, because there's a Jenny line that says something is so cozy, and it's spelled with an S, and that just feels really strange to me. That's the only time it like kind of takes me out of things. I'm like, oh, this is not spelled right. It feels like it's misspelled, but it's not right. Or I mean, it is right. And then there's a Mac line that has a British spelling, a really obvious British spelling, but I forget which one it is. It's in his office somewhere. But Billy's from, I looked up like the history of Happy Wheels, even though I've, never actually played it. And the game Happy Wheels was developed in New York. So Billy would technically be a New Yorker, which is hilarious trying to imagine him at that accent, actually. But I feel like he's kind of got the heart and the soul of a New Yorker. just a little bit. Oh my word, he's totally a New Yorker. But yeah, that's definitely him. And then Cliff is from Virginia. He's from Northern Virginia. So I wanted him to be from kind of the same general area as me, but not the same area as me. So he's from the DC metro, Maryland, DC, Virginia kind of cluster. So he would be like 45 minutes to an hour away from me if he was, real. So it would not take me very long to go visit him. He'd probably be less than an hour from me. I could probably get there in less than an hour. Because I was thinking like the Alexandria, Virginia area. I was thinking around that area, so like really close to DC. Like he could he could hop on the metro and end up in DC. Or he could hop on the metro and we could visit each other that way. So yeah, so that's that's kind of the general idea of where Cliff is, and he's from the fictional city of Bowling Grove, Virginia. Not a real city, not a real town, but based on Alexandria. So, okay, so living and thriving, didn't go to school far. I think I do remember meeting you long ago, and you were from Virginia, but that was long ago, and you are way too far away now. This was well before the bus. We go way back. But yeah, that's kind of the idea of where Cliff is. That's kind of like the general. If you look into a map and look at like Alexandria or what are the other towns around there? Oh, I don't remember. There's one that's like on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember what it's called. Reston, that kind of area, like Alexandria, Reston, like very northern Virginia. Fredericksburg, yes, exactly. Where it would not take you very long to get to DC. It would not take you very long to get to Maryland. It's kind of like all clustered together, and that's actually a legit area. Like that's an area that very much exists. So like Cliff would be in the 703 area code for anybody who wonders. Nobody's gonna wonder that, but I did Google it once out of curiosity, and yeah, Cliff would have a 703 area code for his phone number. Jenny lives in Perth. That's because her VA lives in Perth, and I didn't feel like asking her to put on a different accent. And also, it didn't really matter to me where she lived. Actually, I don't exactly know where that is in Australia. I think it's in the west. Yeah, it's sort of West Australia. So that's kind of where she's from. And she's got really fair skin because she's actually burns really easily. We discussed this a while ago. She's fair-skinned because she can't be in the sun for too long because she burns. She actually has sensitive skin. So it's kind of unfortunate. We know how tall they are, we know how much they weigh, we know what blood type they are, we know way too much about these characters, honestly. Like, if you were to ask us their favorite pizza topping, we could probably tell you that. Although Jenny, I don't know, I guess you could still have pizza if you were diabetic. I don't actually know. What kind? But Billy likes pineapple, so we know that. I don't think Jack's favorite is like pineapple and pepperoni, which makes me gag. Not because of the pineapple, ironically, it's because of the pepperoni. I find pepperoni kind of gross. I used to like it. It's one of those tastes that, you know, it's one of those weird tastes where like you like it as a kid and you don't like it as an adult. Yeah, that's one for me. I'm in good company. My dog actually didn't like pepperoni. It was like the only meat she wouldn't eat. She licked it once. And then from that point on, she would like sniff it and just turn up her nose at it. And I was like, no. Oh no, she wouldn't eat liver either. That was it. We thought it was the spices or something on it. But we weren't sure what it was. She just didn't like it. Yeah, Perth is in West Australia. Yeah. I did know it was in West Australia. But I don't really know very much about the area. I've never been to Australia. And given all of the travel restrictions, I may never be able to go, which is unfortunate. And then yeah, we all know where Jack is from, so but yeah, I think Cliff was like born and raised in this area, like this, you know, Northern Virginia area. I don't think he's ever lived anywhere else. With having doctors for parents, he's actually probably like really well off. And Jenny's not, like, her family is not broke or anything, but they're definitely not super well off or anything. She's a single dad. But Cliff is. Cliff is actually very, if you want to use the colloquialism, he's very privileged. I mean, we're not showing that in the game, it's just kind of an assumption. But if both your parents are doctors, they're gonna get paid really well. There is a boss too. That's what this Q&A is about. It's, the boss 2 is Glitch in the System, basically. It's the continuation of the story. The boss is nothing, it's kind of a midquel. It occurs during the events of the boss, but this one comes after the events of the boss. So if you haven't played it yet, definitely play it, or wait till the 17th when the new update is available. One of my roomies in college had doctor parents and they were deed well off. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm pretty sure if you're a doctor, you could have a stay-at-home parent full-time and it would not be a problem. Like, the doctor would definitely bring home enough to be able to have a stay-at-home parent, but if both of the parents are doctors, yeah. They would definitely be fairly well off. And I mean, they're doctors, so they deserve to be, well, I guess they deserve to be compensated well as being a doctor is a very important job. So, yeah, Cliff's been very fortunate. You know, he has a really close family. He has an older brother and a younger sister. Parents are still married. You know, they were married since well before his brother was born. You know, that kind of that nuclear family, that's, you know, stereotypical nuclear family. He kind of comes from that background. He's been very fortunate. Josk Assassin? I think I got that right. I saw the game The Boss and Sean play. We should play The Boss is Nothing. You should play Glitch in the System. Just saying. Very, very recommended because Jack said maybe, but let's not assume things. You know, let's, you know, find out, I guess. I don't want to say, like, find out together, but I don't know. He'll probably play it when it's closer to, you know, the release. And I do think Glitch in the System is a lot better than The Boss. Like, even Chapter 1 is just so much better. And, like, a lot of people are like, oh, The Boss has a special place in my heart. I'm like, it has a special place in my heart, but not because of the writing. The writing is way better in Glitch. The writing is so much more witty. It's so much less experimental. There was definitely a lot of experimental. And for a first game, I think it's okay, but, like, now, I would be embarrassed if I made a game like that. And I think that's every artist about their own work. But yeah, the boss, there are moments in the boss that I think hold up, that are really good. Like the goodbye to Billy is my favorite part of the whole game. I wrote that scene by myself, and I think there are a few scenes that I think hold up really, really well. That is one of the ones that I think holds up really well, and that is some of my favorite pieces of writing that I've ever done. But Glitch has a lot more things. Glitch has a lot more that I'm happy with, I guess. It has a lot more that I'm happy with. It doesn't have any moments as important or as poignant as saying goodbye to Billy or anything, but that's because it's the first chapter. There will definitely be another goodbye to Billy, and I really hope that I can hit the right emotions for that. I don't think that's going to be a problem, to be honest. I think that's something that I'm up for the challenge. Because it was very short, and I think that this one would be warranting a bit more dialogue, but not too much more, because Billy's not one for long goodbyes, you know? It's like my friend, she's half Filipino, and she said that they can't say goodbye in her culture. Like, I'm trying not to come off like I'm racist or anything, but she makes these jokes all the time, just like, they never say goodbye. They just hang around saying they're gonna leave, and they never say goodbye. And I've never been to one of her family parties, but that makes me curious. Yeah, Billy's not like that. Billy is definitely more of a, man of, well, I don't know if I'd call him a man of few words. He's definitely got a lot to say. But he doesn't really talk about his emotions very much, even though he definitely has them, like, there's no question. There's stuff in the boss that I'm not happy about. A lot of the dialogue feels very cringy now. Some of it's okay, most of it's okay. There's a few places where I'm just like, ugh, no. And I think if I ever went back to the boss, I would rewrite a lot of it. More to just be, be better. And I think that Cliff could have been written a bit better. Because, like, a lot of people thought he was an idiot or was an ADHD stereotype, and I was kind of disappointed about that, because that wasn't really where I wanted. I really didn't want people to get that idea, especially like the ADHD, because I have ADHD, so I didn't want someone to think that we were taking a disorder that's really difficult to live with and we're just kind of making it into a joke. And I don't think that we ever went into as far as to like come off like that, but I feel like there were some people who were like, well, it wasn't a very good representation. So yeah, I think we're doing it better this game, and that does involve making him a bit more serious, but he's still a goofball. He still has jokes. I mean, I feel like he could maybe pun it up a little bit more, but it's only the first chapter, trust me. And he knows some fun words like sphygmomanometer. That's how you say it. I learned that off of Sushi, because she wrote that line. And I did not know what that word meant. And I mean, I assumed that the machine was called that, but I did not know that. I did not know it had a long name, and I love that Cliff knows that, because his parents are doctors. And I had a doctor, no, it was a med student, it was like a med student or a nursing student or something, live stream Glitch in the System. And when we got to that line, he's like, oh, I know how to say this. So that was really funny. And that's the only person that I have seen play the game that actually knew how to say it. And I know how to say it now too. And so the live stream that is on this channel actually of Aaron and Sushi and me and then Ken and that might have been everyone. Oh, Una. I forgot about Una. Why did I forget about her? Ken, who was reading for Cliff, did not know that word, never figured out how to say it, so that's a fun one to see. And I like that we can kind of throw in some words, sprinkle some SAT words in here and there, that's what happens when you're an English major. You end up having a vocabulary that, people don't necessarily have. And I was really surprised at how many people didn't know the word exacerbate, because the first person who ever played the boss actually knew what it meant and complimented our usage of it. And every Let's Player from that point on did not have the slightest idea what that word meant until Jack. But this one we have elucidate. I think we actually have exacerbate in there somewhere else. That might just be flavor text. I remember we thought about it, but then went with something else. I don't remember. But I kind of just don't. I've got a fidget item here. I kind of just don't care if I'm writing something, if I throw in a big word here and there. I don't care. Y'all just gotta learn it. Learn your words. Google it. I particularly liked when people were pronouncing trapes as trapeze, because that changed the sentence's meaning by a long shot. That made it sound like Jack and Billy were acrobats, which is hilarious. What is Glitch in the System? It is a game. Do you want the link? Maybe I'll post the link. It is a game by us. It's fairly easy to find. I'm surprised you hadn't heard about it. Okay, so no, wait, it's in the game, Joel. Wait, I have that tab open. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. And there's another game called The Boss is Nothing, so that's another one to play. But I will give you all a link to Glitch in the System. Can I put it in the live stream? I'm just wondering if I can put this in the... Yes, I can. Okay. The link is now in the description. So, yeah, I know. The trapeze stuff is fun. Yeah, the link is now in the description, so you can see, you can see it. You can give it a play. And if you click on Sarcastic Pasta, like the @Sarcastic Pasta toward the top of the page, you can click on that and see The Boss is Nothing, which is another fan game that we made. It's a shorter game, and it happens during the events of the boss, and it follows Sean's journey through Wireland. And then Glitch in the System is, of course, the next game in the series. Series. It's pretty much just going to end after Glitch. Like, so, that's another thing, like, knowing how Glitch is going to end and all that. It's like, yeah, I know that this is definitely the end. Because I can't think of how we would adequately make another story out of this. I think that this pretty much wraps up the world. It wraps up all the loose ends, you know. It leaves all the questions answered that need to be answered. We don't need to make a sequel. There's no need for it. It's just, it is. It just is. But yeah, happy with it. Very happy with it. So, if there are no other questions, there is a Discord server. DM us for the link if you want to join the discussion on Discord. Everybody there is pretty nice. At least I like to think so. And, you know, there's like channels for art and music and writing and such, so you can share stuff. And whole discussions on the game and stuff, and theorist channels, because there's definitely stuff to theorize over. But yeah, there's a lot, and I definitely want to, you know, expand this world as long as we're in it, and then when it's over, you know. There's no need to dwell on it exactly. That's just kind of what I have in mind, at least, and I guess yeah, it's probably late for a lot of y'all. Well, I will be on the Discord, if you're interested in continuing a discussion or anything like that, but I think that I answered all of the main questions that I have heard. Like, I think I've answered the frequently asked questions, and to reiterate, yes, you have to download this version of the game in order to, you know, continue in other chapters, because other chapters will be made in this engine, and they will require this particular launcher to update, and we'll keep it updated. You know, there's a scene in the VX Ace version of the game that it's not a major scene, it's not one that you have to go through or anything, but there's a scene that we could not get ready. We're never going to be able to get that ready in the next, 5 days, so we had to cut it. It will come back in a patch, but we can't, it's just not doable now. So, yeah. Yeah, like I said, it'll come back in a patch. That is a promise. But right now, we need more time to work on it, honestly. I don't think I'm going to be streaming anything soon. Josk Sassin. But definitely download, play the game for yourself. Download The Boss Is Nothing, because that one's definitely worth playing, and there are some elements in The Boss Is Nothing that do come back and glitch in the system, most notably the fact that Sean is more aware of what Wireland is about than Jack, and the reason for that is in The Boss Is Nothing. And we do go into that at the beginning of Glitch in the System, we do explain that, but it's just better to play The Boss Is Nothing. It definitely has more emotion to it. So links are down, the link for Glitch in the System is down in the description. If you want to play more of our games, you can click on our username there, and all of our games are listed. So The Boss Is Nothing, Glitch in the System, all listed. Let us know if you play and what you think of it. And I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I hope that you enjoyed the stream. It went on a lot longer than I thought it was, but now I need dinner. And the traffic here has been really bad, so I'm gonna have to walk for it, so exercise, Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say as of now. If you have more questions, please send me Discord or something. I don't have a Discord link here because, unfortunately, we had some issues with people like creating multiple accounts and coming onto the server, so we are going to make the link. We're going to send people links individually, so you have to DM me or you have to DM one of the mods on the server, and that list is in the Tumblr page. So if you go on our Tumblr page, you can get that link, or you can get who you can DM for the link there. Or me, whichever. But we do send you 24-hour links, so you have to click on it during that point in time. But thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, I guess y'all did, because there's more likes than there are viewers right now. I really wish that I could continue while I'm there, while I'm in Ohio, but unfortunately she doesn't have the capabilities of live streaming, and that's why I can't, continue. I can't, we couldn't do this together. We would have preferred to do a Q&A together, I think, but unfortunately that just was not possible. When Chapter 4 comes out, she's going to come down here, and we will do another live stream, and we will do another dev play, and I think Dolphin Treasure Art has talked about coming back, so we're gonna get the whole gang together, and we're gonna do it again. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, I hope y'all have a good night, and I will continue to update all of you guys as things progress, and definitely download the game when it's out. Let me know what you think of it, because I love reviews, and I feel like we don't get a whole lot of them. And I'm really hoping that the new update is going to get us a few more reviews, because there's just differences. And it will definitely kind of reignite the theorist community, I think, because, what's an update without a few fun hints? So, yeah, I will talk to you guys later, and bye!